Hey friends, have you made any mistakes as a parent? Look, if you're sitting there saying, no, not me, I never have. Well, if you're not a parent, you could probably say that. But if you are, this video is for you. I have made mistakes, but I have been intentional to not repeat mistakes I've seen made in my family and other families. But what do? How do you get the help you need if it wasn't modeled for you? There are ways. My name's Dawn, D-A-W-N, not Don or Donna, the recovery lady. I'm a behavioral health clinician here with a life recovery tips. Take what you like and leave the rest, but I sure hope it blesses you and makes a difference. Thank you for joining us today. If you haven't, please like and subscribe and join our community. It's a safe, sane, and clean community. So back to the parenting. I started my adulthood with thinking I am never going to have kids because I knew I was not equipped to give them the emotionally healthy life I wanted them to have. So what I did is my very first year in college, people are taking their GE and getting it over, general education, getting it over with, and I took parenting classes. Wasn't a parenting major, my undergrad's in journalism. Took every parenting class I could find because I wanted to learn what worked and what didn't work. And not just what worked, but the thinking behind it and how to implement it. And I was on a journey. Wasn't married at that point. I didn't even know if I was going to have kids, but I knew that what I was missing and I didn't know would be shaping future lives. So what do you do now? Whether your kids are 3 or 30 or 60, you've probably made a mistake. We're going to go over a few of the things that you can do to help regain that relationship and not hide it. One of the things I see people do all the time, especially in behavioral health and patients I've worked with, is like, well, I'm never going to tell my kid I did that. I'm never gonna tell them, because if they knew that I used to be in recovery for, I don't know, whatever, weed, meth, whatever your thing is, alcohol, I would never, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. If they know I did it, they're gonna do it. And I'm here to tell you that is a lie. A lie, a lie, a lie. That's our common sense brain trying to make sense of something, thinking if we hide it, our kids won't do it. And in reality, when we tell the kids the mistakes we've made in our past, some that they weren't even around to see, they are less likely to repeat the pattern. And if they do fall into that pattern, that trap, they are 70% more likely to be able to come out of it because they know you did. I've had plenty of patients, I know that, and even myself haven't made the best choices before I had kids, and you don't need to tell them everything, but have been honest about some choices that I made. Patients that I know that have gone and said, hey, dad used to, goes to these meetings. He's not volunteering at the shelter. I'm in AA. I used to, use alcohol the wrong way and I need support, or Celebrate Recovery or whatever program it is. And that's because, and here's some mistakes I made. And I'm just so glad I'm not like that now, and I'm here for you. And here's what it looked like and here's what it felt like. Part of that kind of takes away the curiosity of the kid, when they're getting dragged in to do something. They're also going to know you're smart enough to see it. And if they fall in the trap, they are going to know they're strong enough to get out of it because they've seen you do it. This is critical. To be honest and age appropriate with your kids, and those ages are getting younger. And don't be afraid to share the things that you have overcome. That can help avoid parenting mistakes later, because, kids are smart. They see what's going on. You think, oh, Julie and Sydney don't know. They don't know we're fighting at night and getting a divorce. They know. They hear it. They can fake sleep. Kids know exactly what's going on. And if you're an adult right now, you knew what was going on in the house, even though people talked around you like, hey, no, you weren't even there. So what happens is we start to build up trauma and we start to hold an anxiety that's going to manifest later in life. If something's wrong, you appropriately share it, especially some of your past stuff that can help them make better choices. But But you might be thinking, Dawn, great. Hey, you took a year of parenting classes and woohoo. Yeah, and you know what? I still made mistakes. And even now I've shared on my other videos as an empty nester, it's like a whole new unleashed jar, lit off the jar world to me that I'm having to learn and recover from and looking for others to recover with from. We're always learning. The thing that I see that happens a lot is parents will make a grievous parenting error and they never take responsibility for it. They don't own it. The first thing you do when you know you've blown it, you kind of got to, oh man, why didn't I do that? But you got to kind of let yourself sit in the guilt. You hear me say all the time, guilt can be good. A little bit of guilt can be good. Causes us to make positive forward moving change. We don't want to get stuck in it though and start tearing ourselves down and be self-saboteurs. But to say, wow, I blew that. How can I make it right? Step back, take inventory of it, and then you go to your child and acknowledge it. So what does that look like? Hey, mom was really upset today and I called you a name I shouldn't have called you, or smacked you on the butt, or some people do that. Whatever the thing is you did, I should not have done that. I should not have done that. And the big error that people make when they're making an amends to their kids is when, or anybody for that matter in life, is when they justify the behavior. Look, I shouldn't have done that and thrown your spaghetti across the kitchen. But you made me so mad. You made me do it. That's a guilt trip. Go back to the video before this where I talk about being the travel agent of guilt trip. That's a guilt trip. We can often defend ourselves and parenting mistakes by turning them into guilt trips on our kids so we don't have to look at ourselves. It's not conscious or planned, but it's often a repeated behavior. You saw it, you do it. Without an intervention, if you didn't have the best upbringing or the best life experiences at any age, the pattern is going to repeat unless there's an intervention. What's an intervention? Not a group of people sitting down with you, although sometimes that happens. It's you acknowledging it, and then making the choices for intentional change and how to deal with it. Going back. So you acknowledge it to your kid. Hey, I blew it today when I did that. I shouldn't have, and I'm sorry. Zip it. And any apology, especially to your kids, you never, ever, and when you're making an amends in a 12-step program, it's what you did. It's what you did. Practice it with your sponsor. And when you're making an amends, I did this, this, and this with no justification. Because that's not the other person's fault. When you say, well, they made me so mad, you're giving a lot of power away, dude, if they're making you mad. If your kids are making you mad, you've given away your power to the children. You can get frustrated. Remember, we label behaviors, not people. So it's not, Susie Q is bad. Susie Q made some bad choices. We label behaviors, not people. Remember that when you're dealing with them. So you go up, you're taking a breath first. You're feeling the guilt, you did it wrong. You acknowledge it to yourself, and then you acknowledge it to your child, whether it's your small child, your adult child, you're 90 and your kid's 70. And then what? You don't repeat it. This is the thing. If you're making an amends, think about it. Everybody knows somebody that, most people, I don't want to say everybody, it's very black and white, but most people know somebody, especially if you have somebody struggling with an addiction or something, that just apologize and do it again, cheating, whatever it is. What happens? The apology means nothing because you've heard it so many times, it's empty words. So the key is, when you make the amends, then you change the behavior. Let me tell you, if you bury it and repeat it, you are teaching your children, and I don't care if they're adults, because if they haven't found their own way of recovering through therapy or groups or clergy, like I say, whatever it is, their belief system, they're going to repeat the pattern. The change is critical. Because when they know you can change, they will know they can change. You guys know I'm a faith-based woman, follower of Christ. I'm going to tell you one quick thing. I remember going through a really hard time. My kids were small. We were getting meals from the church. I was in not a great place. Some stuff was happening in the family. And I looked over at my kids. I realized I forgot to give them dinner. And I fell to my knees going, I'm so distracted. I forgot to make dinner. At that very moment, there was a knock on the door. And that was when the meals ministry person was there and handed me a meal. And God bless you, and walked away. Somebody had anonymously signed us up. And I fell on my knees by my coffee table and I started to pray. I said, Lord, why does this life have to be so hard? Why does this have to be so hard? And I'd given my kids the food and they were eating it. And I heard the Lord told me, and no, not an audible dawn in the room. I heard the Lord tell me in the stillness of my heart, because God's voice is so soft. Dawn, don't you think I'm using these very moments to teach your kids to call on me when they go through trials? And they're going to go through trials you're not even going to be around to see. And at that moment, I was very surrendered. And I thought, Lord, if I have to go through this suffering and call on you, so I'm training my kids so they know to do that, so they can get to the other side of hard times, bring it. I'll do it. It isn't easy. Change isn't easy. It's going to make you look at yourself. But the delivery and the freedom on the other side ripples through for generations. And you can do it and know it's never too late. I tell you guys about the story of the 80-something-year-old lady I had get sober, and her son in his 60s got sober. It makes a difference. It is not too late for you. I don't care what your situation is or your age, to reach out and make an unjustified amends. That meaning you're making the amends and not justifying your behavior and saying, I am so sorry I put you through that. I can't imagine how hard that was. Because that's all your kids want to see. They don't want to just hear an empty apology. They want to know that no matter what the age that they are seen, they are seen. I can't imagine how much hard it was to have me coming home drunk every night. I can't imagine how lost and frightened you must have been. I am so sorry. And I'm doing better. That, knowing that that's a justification, so take that last part off, but your kids want to know that you see them and their pain. They don't want to hear your journey. They want to see how you changed. And when you get to the other side of that, you take a breath, you make sure you're changing those behaviors, and then you got to forgive yourself. The enemy, Satan, the old, if you aren't a faith-based person, you see the old shows, there's a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other. The devil wants to tear you down, tell you you're bad, you ruined them, it's too late. It's not too late. If you're on this earth and you're breathing, it is not too late. God will forgive you. He wipes your slate clean and you move forward. He has found me in some dark places and brought me through. And he can do that for you too. It's so imperative that we make amends, we recognize it, we let ourselves feel guilt, not get stuck, we make an amends, and then we change that behavior. And we move forward. And we forgive ourselves because you deserve it. Wasn't planning on sharing all of that personal stuff today, but I had a feeling I was supposed to, and I hope it blesses somebody. I'm Dawn, D-A-W-N, the Recovery Lady, behavioral health clinician. Thank you for joining my channel, trying to grow it. Sure appreciate your views and shares and subscriptions. Praying for you guys. Love you. Bye.